Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are going to completely reframe your relationship with boredom and help you find some true mental clarity. Most of us try to escape boredom the absolute second we feel it. We instinctively reach for our phones, open a new browser tab, or search for literally anything to keep our minds occupied. It feels totally harmless, right? But today, we're going to look at the fascinating science of why those quiet moments are actually absolutely essential for your brain. Let's kick things off with a quick question. Think about those magical moments when your greatest aha ideas just strike out of nowhere. Seriously, picture the last time you solved a really stubborn problem or came up with a brilliant creative concept. Where were you? What were you actually doing? Right? Those brilliant ideas rarely happen when we're drowning in digital noise. Actually, scratch that. They almost never happen when we're jumping between back-to-back meetings or frantically answering emails. They usually pop up in those quiet, supposedly unproductive moments, like when you're driving home, taking a walk, looking out a window, or, just standing in the shower. So here's our roadmap for the BORD framework today. We'll start with the hidden power of boredom, then how to break the stimulation cycle, orient your attention, reorganize for better understanding, direct your focus intentionally, and finally, find clarity in the empty space. All right, part 1, the hidden power of boredom and why it is definitely not just empty time. Look, we've got to completely debunk this myth that boredom is some negative state you need to instantly fix by scrolling on your phone. Boredom isn't just a lack of stimulation, it's the exact moment your hard-working brain goes offline to do its most important internal organizing. You see, your brain alternates between two complementary functions. One is engaging with the outside world, detecting changes and responding to demands. The other is integrating those experiences, consolidating memories, and preparing for future decisions. When you don't give your brain this downtime, information piles up way faster than your brain can organize it. You end up knowing a lot more without actually understanding more. Moving on to step 2 of our framework, break the stimulation cycle or taming that dopamine-driven urge. Your brain is literally endlessly asking itself one question: what deserves my attention right now? We've got this thing called the salience network, and it teams up with dopamine to constantly seek out new information. Thousands of years ago, the salience network kept you alive by noticing a rustling bush. But today, it's just reacting to endless digital notifications, headlines, and emails begging for your attention. Dopamine fuels this by rewarding the sheer possibility that your next swipe might reveal something valuable. Over time, your hand is reaching for your phone before you even consciously realize you're doing it. So how do we fix this? Try this micro practice. Just finish one single task completely before you check your phone. Now, fair warning, expect some friction here. Pausing that urge is going to feel pretty uncomfortable at first. Your brain is craving that quick dopamine hit. But by giving that urge just a little time to pass, you are drastically reducing the competing demands on your attention. You're creating the quiet conditions your brain desperately needs to transform scattered info into deep, clear understanding. Step 3, orient your attention, which is all about seeing beyond the brain's predictions. Here's something wild. When we're mentally overloaded, our attention becomes incredibly selective and we literally start overlooking reality. Have you ever frantically searched for your keys only to realize they were sitting right there in plain sight? Or reread an email and noticed a whole sentence you completely missed the first time? We've all been there. That happens because the brain doesn't just passively observe reality, it's continuously predicting it based on memories and expectations. And when you're stressed out by constant stimulation, your brain samples way less of the world, only noticing the stuff that confirms what it already expects. To break out of that narrow focus, try this next micro practice. Before you open your inbox, just look out a window for 30 seconds and find 5 things you haven't noticed before. Yeah, it might feel a little silly or like nothing useful is happening, but by playfully doing this 30-second orient trick, you're actively feeding your brain fresh sensory data. Whether it's the light, a sound, or a physical sensation, this new information makes your brain's map of the world incredibly adaptable. It helps you recognize what genuinely deserves your focus. Okay, step 4, reorganize for better understanding, and the hidden magic of the hippocampus. Just taking in information is only the starting line for learning. True understanding, that happens afterward. The second external stimulation drops, your hippocampus happily rolls up its sleeves and gets to work. This means deep understanding develops quietly while you are supposedly doing nothing. While you step into the shower or drive home in silence, the hippocampus and your large-scale brain networks start integrating your recent experiences with your existing knowledge. They strengthen useful connections, identify hidden patterns, and refine how you view the world. To trigger this background magic, here's your micro practice. Walk to your next meeting without music, no podcasts, and definitely no checking your phone. The expected friction? You'll probably feel totally unproductive. But your brain is actually highly active right now. It isn't searching for more info, it is searching for better explanations. This quiet reorganization is the secret ingredient that transforms simple experience into profound understanding. It's a real game changer for your problem solving and creativity. Next up, step 5, direct focus intentionally, or taking back the steering wheel. Picture this. You finish a task and instantly your phone vibrates, an email chimes, and someone asks you a question. If you're on autopilot, your brain naturally gravitates to whatever is newest, loudest, or most emotionally charged. But here's the good news. Thanks to your amazing prefrontal cortex and executive control networks, you can pause, evaluate, and intentionally decide where your focus truly belongs. These systems are the absolute champions of your working memory, planning, and goal-directed behavior. So here is your final micro-practice. Just pause before replying to an important message and ask yourself, what deserves my attention most right now? The friction here is that reacting immediately will almost always feel easier. It's a familiar, low-effort path for your brain. But making this intentional, direct choice strengthens your self-regulation muscle. Every time you consciously choose your focus, you refine your brain's map, slowly replacing that panicked, reactive feeling with sweet, sweet clarity. Finally, Section 6, Clarity in the Empty Space, which brings us to our complete BORD framework summary. To pull all of this magic together, think of this framework as your ultimate cheat sheet. It perfectly maps out how each actionable step of BORD aligns with your brain's biology. First, you break the cycle to calm your salience network by doing just one task at a time. Then you orient to bypass predictive sampling by noticing new things out a window. Next, you let your hippocampus reorganize by taking a tech-free walk. And finally, you engage your prefrontal cortex to direct your attention intentionally before reacting. This whole shebang shows us that clarity doesn't come from thinking harder or cramming in more data. It comes from creating the space for these brain networks to seamlessly work together. And that brings us to a really powerful thought to leave you with. Mental clarity grows in the space we choose not to fill. Boredom really isn't your enemy. It is quite literally the condition your brain requires to create deep understanding and expand your perspective. So here's my final, provocative question for you. What spaces are you going to intentionally choose to leave empty today so that your beautiful mind can truly flourish?